Welcome to the Embodiment Conference. This channel, Trauma and Social Change, it's absolutely the moment for that, isn't it? I'm Steve Hoskinson. I'm the founder of Organic Intelligence. I've been teaching in this area of trauma, embodiment, and social change for about 25 years. It's an honor, really, for us to be sponsoring this channel where we're going to hear a multiplicity of voice, all unique contributors to our collective understanding of how to move from trauma and support then social change. Our unique voice in organic intelligence has something to do with a koan that I'd like to present to you, which is trauma means unintegrated resource. And that's a koan, and if you'd like and are feeling intrigued about that riddle, then tune in to the post-trauma system development course that we're offering here. The coupon code that'll get you half off on that is ENJOY. Now, enjoy this next presentation, and we'll look forward to another meaningful time as we explore these topics, trauma and social change. Enjoy.
Fantastic. So that was just a quick word from one of our sponsors. In today's session, we have Orit here with us. Orit is a registered body psychotherapist, dance and movement therapist, teacher, and author. She has also established the ILA-BP Body Psychotherapy Organization with a branch in Israel. She focuses on embodied dialogue, sexual trauma, and supervision. Orit, I'm going to let you take it away and begin leading this incredible session.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Alicia. I'm really honored to be here with you today. My name is Orit Klapisch. As Alicia said, I'm a body psychotherapist. I'm also a dance movement therapist and a constellation trainer. I find it very, very interesting the way that imaginary works with the body. And I'm investigating it in a PhD that I do right now with sexual abuse women. We look for the images that comes and the relationship with the therapist, which is amazing the way how through the body, through the resonance, actually all the information comes. So we focus today on those three important subjects, the body, the relationship, and the imagery. So I hope you're well after those 2 days of long workshops, and that you took something to drink and that you sit comfortable. I really advise you to listen to your body in this particular session, because we try to work with not only with the mind and the theoretical part, which I'll give at the beginning of the session, but also with our resonance, okay? So I would really appreciate it if you try to now listen to the body. We'll do some exercise during the workshop, actually 2 main exercise. At the first one, everybody can practice on their own, and then the second, I will ask for participants, volunteers to share their experience so we can work together and you'll understand a little more the technique which I work with in supervision and also in trauma work. So the imagery is there in psychotherapy from the beginning, because the topographic way that Freud saw the human soul was actually built from the id, the ego, and the superego, which looked like a big iceberg, right? Half of it under, or 3/3, it depends on the person, under the water, and only a tip was the awareness that a person could really hold. So this is also already an image of the emotional way that people perceive themselves or the therapist perceive them. After Freud, the Jungian theory was really based on the metaphors, archetypes, as seeing first much larger way of archetypes of not only from the personal sense of meaning, but also from the much larger sense of meaning, which means that the archetype was not only built on history of the person, but of course, much in a wider way. So we have, what archetype we have? We have first the persona, right? That Jung thought was playing some kind of role. And then many other archetype like the anima and the animus, the male part and the female part, and also some kind of different archetype, which meant the heroic part, and also the part that needed more to be in the shade. The shade in Jungian theory was there, standing there for all which is not coherent with the self, the parts that we try to hide. So this was the beginning actually of the dialogical work that we will talk about today. I do a lot of dialogical work through the body. You can look afterwards in the link with trauma, with supervision, and also with personal conflicts. After Freud, Klein was the one that really perceived the relationship from the beginning as a metaphor, because Klein saw the mother as an entity, and the young baby as relating to the mother in a metaphorical way, which means that he could perceive the mother as good or bad, the good breast and the bad breast, as he was getting, the baby gets what he needs, his needs fulfilled or not. So Klein really could draw us a very interesting picture of human relationship, and how this relationship was first incorporated in our body and then incorporated in the imagery, okay? Because if a baby could get his needs satisfied, so he was feeding from the good breast, and then his sensation and his view of the mother and himself was good. But as Klein continue and say that frustration is putting the bed breast on the plate, and the baby as seeing himself as the worst part. So then she recognized the split that started to raise in human evolution between good and bad, a little bit like Jung could see the good and bad, but Jung didn't talk about the relationship as building this archetype. And we are basically in this workshop basing the talk on the relationship, okay? Because we said we were talking about the body, the relationship and the metaphor in supervision. So according to Klein, if there is not possibility of the mother to hold all of this interaction together, for instance, if the mother is frustrated herself, or if she is having some kind of anxiety attacks, or she feel in herself aggression, and she cannot hold this aggression or anxiety or frustration in herself. By Klein, she put it on the baby, and then the person grow with the sensation of not being able to handle the emotions of himself or the mother. So he perceived himself as a bad object. So we really try in the dialogical work to hold different parts that were split because of missing of holding. We will just talk a little bit about the relational theory. The relational theory took a step ahead and saw those different parts as different self parts, okay? Because let's see, especially in trauma work, if one has different, in the same time, a girl that has suffered from abuse, especially abuse which happened at home with a caretaker, for instance. So she would try to hold the relationship with the caretaker, but she can feel many different aspects of the relationship, right? She would feel anxious, and she would feel maybe anger, but in the same time, maybe the sexual act was had a pleasant part for her, so she maybe could feel the need to play with it, or to stay in contact with the caretaker, even though they harmed her. So those different parts play together a role of connection and disconnection, but in very different aspects. So here we'll try also to listen to the way that different self parts play a role in therapy through the lens of the supervision. Okay, so we shall start with a little exercise. I hope you're ready for it. I advise you to sit back and try to feel the earth under the feet. Just let's take a few deep breaths and feel the air getting in slowly and out. And try to feel yourself grounded through the chair as well. Okay, we have the earth holding us and the chair, as well as an earthy part. And we will try now to just to concentrate on the air that comes and goes and comes and goes. You can close your eyes for a few minutes. It's a short exercise that will take 3 to 4 minutes. So we can really relax now for a little while. So there is getting in and getting out. And we can feel the container in which the air comes and goes. Okay, there is a special place in the body that holds for us this energy, the air. So as closing the eyes, we can imagine, we can have a vision of this container. The container that holds the air, the container that actually holds something in ourselves. And also as therapist, of course, in the sessions. Let's look at this container. Is the container wide or narrow? Is it dark or lightful? Can you see through it, or is it covered? Like a cave or like a box? What shape it has? Is it round or it has angles? And what really do I feel if I would sit in it? What is the ambience that is there? Can I really relax there? Can it hold me? Or maybe it has holes in it. Do I feel myself safe? Do I have enough room for myself? What is the color of this container? And the color of it. And if I would change anything in the container, what would it be? What would I would like to change, if at all, in my own container? And does it make any difference for me if I change this, maybe even a little thing in this container? Would it make any difference for me? So slowly we will come back. and see how we feel now. Do we feel different from 4 minutes ago? Okay, so this is our container that we can take with us wherever we go. And as a therapist, it comes with us to the session room, to the clinic. So it means actually that each of us, of course, have a different container that would meet the patient or the client. So, you know, Winnicott was talking about this container, about holding the baby, and then how the mother would hold this baby by the look and by her hands. And this holding would go with the person for the rest of his life. So this is an important part to look at a supervision before even we start to analyze the map of the relationships. We have this container to look at for ourselves. I hope you had a good experience, and for the client. Now, let's look a little deeper in the session, but I don't know, I cannot see you.
Would anyone like to volunteer? If anyone would like to volunteer, if anyone would like to participate,
Alicia, can I
please raise their
see
hand.
the participant? Because I cannot see right now.
Yes, so we are in a webinar format. So if participants would like to volunteer, please do. Okay, so guys, there's a raise hand function. If you can't see it on your screen, please just write in the chat that you would like to volunteer, and we'll set you up.
I'll just explain what we're doing right now, okay?
Yeah, please do.
So we looked at this container, and now we look a little deeper at the relationship map of the body and the imagery in supervision with your client. So we're talking before about the way that different self parts were holding our nature, and different of those parts were meeting those parts with the client. Okay, so the way those different self parts meet the self part of the client would create a totally different map of the body and the relationships. So let's do it. It's another exercise that I would like to do, but it would be really nice if I can work with somebody so I can show the work. So please, if there is anybody that would like to feel how it how you work with supervision with it, I'll be really happy to demonstrate.
Someone just asked in the comments, can they volunteer without a camera?
Of course, yes, but I need to see them. I don't see anybody right now at the moment.
Okay.
So they won't, I mean, I have to, or hear them.
Yeah.
Who is asking? Yes, Neta, of course, gladly. I'll just have to hear you.
Fantastic. We're just going to promote you then. Fabulous. There you go. And I'm going to...
Thank you for joining.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I'll just ask you before, are you a therapist?
No. Is it only for therapists?
No, it's not only for therapists, but the demonstration is about the relationship between the client and the therapist. So I'll be happy to demonstrate with somebody that works with the client. So you'll have a map of the.
Of course.
So if it's okay with you, we'll see if there's not anybody else. So we'll see how we tune it to different.
Well, we have another person now, Sobia. Let's see if.
Yeah, okay, so
Okay, so Netta, so we can work later on a
thank you.
different level, okay? Because I think what I really committed here is for supervision, so I have to
yes,
try
sure.
to okay.
Jacob just let us know that they work as a therapist, and they're happy to try.
Jacob.
Hi, Orit. I'm Sobia, and I also work as a therapist, both psychodynamic and interpersonal, as well as EMDR and CBT.
Yes.
So
Nice to meet you. Thank you
nice
very
to meet
much.
you too.
Okay. So we'll do, but we need to hear you. So please keep your microphone open, okay?
Yes, I will.
So we'll make this exercise together. I mean, everybody's mostly invited to do it, and then I'll ask you some question during the work. Okay, Sabina?
Yes.
What is your name, please?
It's Sobia.
Sobia.
Yes.
Sorry, Sobia. Thank
No
you.
problem.
So we go back to this container that we connected to before. Did you see anything? Could you meet this container?
Yes, I could.
Do you want to share anything about how you felt it for yourself?
I found the container to be very light. It was square with frosted glass. I could fit inside it. However, there wasn't much room for me. And although it was a light container and felt comfortable, I felt constrained due to the lack of room. So I was quite small and hunched up inside the container.
It sounds that in one hand it was light and comfortable, but in the other hand it was a little bit squeezy.
Very, yeah, it was squeezy.
So could you make, and how did you feel there when you had to sit small there?
I felt quite confined. I wanted more space for myself. I wanted to be more able to have the ability to move within the container, to relax a little bit more, stretch my limbs out.
So could you make this change towards the end of the exercise?
Yes, the container became more elongated, so it became more long and wider in order to enable me to relax, lie down, rather than be squeezed up. So it expanded.
And how did you feel then when you elongated the container, and could you stretch? Did you have more place, more room?
There was more room. There was a sense of both freedom and a sense of also being able to breathe more freely. So the breath became more relaxed.
Good.
As well as the freedom to be able to stretch and move, or to actually remain still and lie down.
I'm very happy to hear that. So towards the end, did you feel more space and breathing and a little bit more relaxed?
Yes, the difference between before the exercise and afterwards was more a sense of being more free, both within my body and also being able to breathe more, I think more openly, more open breath.
Okay, very good. So when we look in supervision, actually, when we look deeper, and that this is what we do in our supervision group, we slowly, bit by bit, I won't ask you now, but we ask ourselves, do I know this sensation of having a small container, and do I have an idea where this come from, or how I'm used to sit there in my own container? Okay. This is what we do, but it's a lot of information already. Because now when we start the second exercise, you'll have already a notion of your own container and the way you would like it to be. Okay?
Yes.
It's a great place to start with. Now we'll continue working with the imagery. I advise you just to sit back and relax and feel feel grounded, feel the feet under you, feel the ground under your feet. And you can come and go, you know, to your container that you just built. You tell me when it's a good time to start.
Okay, thank you.
Now, I advise you to look in front of you and just see an image, okay? It could be a character from a movie or cartoon, or just a symbol, or an object in front of you.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell us what you see? Can you tell me?
Yes, it's the image of the sun. So it's what I see is a circular ball of light that's very bright, very yellow.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'll ask you if there's any clients of yours that meet this image of great sun, very warm, very bright, maybe too warm.
Yes, there is one client that comes to my mind that fits that image.
Okay, so we'll work with him, okay? It's a he or she?
It's a she.
It's a she. So you can continue looking at this bright sun. Very bright, very warm, okay? And now I invite you to see another image. This time is an image for yourself in the therapy room.
Okay.
Can you tell me what you saw?
I saw the half moon, so it's half a moon, and the moonlight.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a dark sky, but it's half a moon. So there's enough light from that half moon.
And what is the sensation, the character of this moon? What can you sense? What is the ambience inside when you look at the moon, at the half moon?
I think it's a sense of calmness and a sense of clarity and coolness.
Coolness. Okay. Yeah. So in front of the sun, this big, bright, maybe warm sun, there is the moon, which is cooler.
Yes.
How far can you see them from distance? Are they very close or much further?
They're very close.
Very close. Okay. Yeah. Can I ask you, or the moon, how it feels to have this warm sun so close?
It can feel quite intense, heated, and sometimes a bit overwhelming. And can sap the energy.
Yes, I can imagine that having this warm sun so close can be very intense sometimes. Okay. Now slowly we will make some changes, okay?
Yeah.
This exercise by Amos Tzur, he likes to ask a question which I like. He calls it the catastrophic questions. And he's asking, what is the worst thing that could happen to the moon?
It gets eclipsed by the sun, so it gets taken over, burnt out by the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. So I guess for you as a therapist, being eclipsed, not seeing what in you, or not having enough space, if we connect to the previous exercise, what does it mean? How does it make the moon feel?
Yes, it's almost like there is no room for it. It's been taken over.
Taken over.
Yeah, it's become smaller, surrounded. So there's less space for the moon. It's been overtaken by the sun.
And the emotion that raise with this feeling of even sound a little claustrophobic.
It does, yeah, claustrophobic and small. So it's shrunk. It feels very, yeah, claustrophobic.
Can I ask you to stay for 1 minute just with this body sensation of claustrophobic, getting smaller? Just be with it for a minute, and you can see if you want what it brings, what it raises.
So I'm just noticing right now in my body a sort of heaviness in the chest and a constriction and tightening sensation in the throat. The throat is more, yeah, I feel it more, I think, in the throat.
Is it familiar? Can I ask you if it's?
It is familiar. It's familiar. I think, yes, in some ways it is familiar, yes.
So you don't have to tell us, of course, but for yourself, you can give recognition to this familiarity, and even later you can ask yourself, where do I know this kind of relationship where I have to get smaller and shade, and somebody else in front of me is getting bigger and bigger and shinier, okay?
Yeah.
So this is for you to look at. And now we will continue just by asking, okay? The moon can ask the sun for something, for a change.
Yeah.
What change could be possible by really pronouncing it out loud? What would you like? What would the moon would like it to be?
The moon would say and ask the sun to move away, to create some distance.
To go back to where it belongs?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So let's try to imagine this by the moon going back, by the sun going back to where it belongs, much or a little further. Find, please, the right amount of dry distance.
Yeah.
When you feel comfortable.
Yes.
How does it feel right now?
I I feel like I can breathe much more easily. The constriction in my throat is definitely less. My chest feels lighter. It's easier to take deep breaths.
And let's look at the moon and see if there is any change.
It's no longer a half moon. There's more of the moon. So it's not quite a full moon yet, but there's definitely more of the moon.
More of the moon. And what really allowed the moon to take his place and be shinier or whole, almost whole?
Yeah, I think being able to ask for that distance, being able to voice it. Yeah, being able to voice that and speak that and say that, and to be able to imagine the sun returning back to the place where it belongs, where it's higher up, further away, and the heat and intensity is far less, and that allows the moon to come out and reveal itself more.
Yes. So let's just internalize the sensation, incorporate the sensation in the body. Okay. You can take a minute or just a moment to breathe, to close your eyes, to feel really the sensation of being able to speak up and take a distance, and all the changes that followed. We can all do this together. Actually, who followed can also internalize the changes. See where it can go inside, body-wise, mind-wise, maybe. And slowly we will come back.
Okay.
Okay. So, Sylvia, how do you feel right now?
A sense of being both centered and grounded both at the same time, almost like a sense of equilibrium between the outer body and inner body, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yes, makes a lot of sense. And of course, I will invite you to take this to your patients, clients, and with yourself. And thank you very much. It was amazing to see how, in a fairly simple process, we can look so deep at our different angles of relationship through imagery and the body.
And thank you so much. It was a very very enlightening and very powerful experience. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, and for your openness, of course.
Thank you.
So what we did right now, I'll just briefly go back through the different points. We breathe to the container, or start from being grounded in the chair or on the pillow, and look at an image, a metaphor that rises in front of us. We let just what comes to come, and then we can look at the image and see what client, or even we can decide of the client and look at the image that raised. In front of this image, there is us as therapists. We can let the image come, and then work slowly by questioning ourselves, how do we feel, how this image that I chose for myself, how it relates to the image in front of me, if it's the size of the elements, if it's the way they're located, one in front of the other, and of course their nature. Okay, if there's one that, if the patient is raising something in us as an image, if it changes, and what is the worst case scenario that could happen to those two objects. And then, of course, we can go a little further and see what I can make, what changes I can make in myself that would project on the relationship. So again, we're talking about the body, the image, and the relationship, the internal relationship within myself as a therapist, and of course in the therapeutic room. We will look at those things deeper in the group supervision that will soon start. I guess there will be a link later. So if there's any more question, I will be really happy to answer. We have 5 more minutes, and I'll be happy. Jacob, I'm sorry that I could not have you in, so you invited for the group session if you'd like. Sorry, or private supervision.
If anyone does,
to hear if anybody, yes.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if anyone has any questions, just to make it a little easier for you, please put them in the Q&A.
And you can read it for me, okay? Because I cannot see from this distance.
Definitely. In the meantime, do any of our, oh, perfect. So,
and how was it for you? So question, and how was this work for you? If it's new or you already know anything about it, I would be really happy to hear.
yes, there's actually a question in regards to the visualization for Sobia. And it says, I have a question about the visualization for Sobia, who was just interviewed. What happens to the sun after he backs off?
Interesting question.
Would you like me to answer that?
Please do. I think it was definitely directed at you.
So
I'm happy to answer that, Peter. So for me, it felt as if the sun, where the sun ended up eventually, was where the sun needed to be, where it belonged. Yeah, that's the only way I can sort of describe it. It retreated back, and the distance was where it needed to be. It took its place. It took the place of what felt was the right place for the sun in relation to the moon.
Okay, so everything got in place. I'd like to say something about, thank you for the question, Peter. It's a really important question, and it's raised an important subject that I didn't refer to. We do actually, as therapists, we do internal work. Okay, there are all kinds of supervision that focus the client, focus the therapist, or the relationship between them. So our supervision that we usually give is about internal object of the therapist, and then we can look at the relationship. Paradoxically, the patients stay the last, not because it's not important, of course, but because by referring to our internal object, as we saw before with the container, it's so important that we raise our awareness to what happened to us in front of somebody else, what it brings, referring to our history, okay? So if we raise this awareness, slowly we can have much more of a holding, of a container, of an understanding for our patient. Okay, back. So this is the direction. So okay, thank you, Peter. I didn't refer to what really happened to the patient, because and we do ask the question at the end. Any other question? We still have 15
Fantastic.
minutes.
We have time for one more question. I'm wondering if anyone who's on our panel at the top has any more questions or anything they'd like to unmute and share.
Thank you, Netta. Netta say that it was very interesting, so thank you very much.
Yep. People are saying it's quite a journey. There's a lot of really positive feedback, even a little bit earlier on, saying how great this is. I think a lot of folks thinking about supervision in this way is a really unique perspective. And I think it's something we can apply all across the board. So thank you so much for sharing your insight on it.
Thank you very much for assisting in the short session of supervision that make the focus on the body, the image and the relationships. It was very interesting to be here with you. Thank you, Sobia, for putting yourself in front. It was important for everybody to learn, and for me also. And I hope to see you all later in the different possibility, the supervision, the trauma courses, which also work with dialogical self, and the imagery, which is a short workshop. So all of this, you can leave your details and we'll go.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Alicia.
You're welcome. So we just have a few more things before we wrap up. So all of your details are going right now into the chat. For folks who are with us, we do have an opportunity so that you can upgrade and watch all the incredible sessions, including Orit again and again. So if you're like me and really like to take notes and really deep dive and re-experience, please feel free to investigate that for yourselves. There is also a coffee break after this, so the link is going to be there. It's a great way to connect with others, and as well as on our Facebook page. So we have a little group for the Embodiment Conference as well, and everyone there is super supportive, and feel free to ask any questions you might have in there too.
And thank you, Netta, for volunteering. I hope to meet you later.
Yeah, definitely. This great place. You might catch some of our presenters in the coffee break. You may please feel free to connect. This will also be on the Trauma and Social page group on Facebook. So please feel free to connect with all the other incredible panelists there. The next one is a panel on art and play in regards to social change. So you won't want to miss that. That's coming up in just about an hour. We really hope to see you there. And again, thank you so much, Orit, for an incredible session. I'm just wondering, before you go, if you don't mind sharing your top tip for embodiment.
So actually, all the session was about embodiment.
Yeah.
I mean, the relationship is built through the body, like Winnicott pointed and Klein. We grew up through the relationship with the body of the mother and ourselves as a perception of an object, which is embodied. The perception of the self is the embodied self. And this is, of course, have an influence even as therapists on the sessions. So
yeah, I love that. I think it was so.
Yeah, and image as embodied also.
Yeah, I think that's such an important point. So for folks who are listening, that's definitely an incredible takeaway from this session. Orit, thank you so much again. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Bye, everyone.
Bye.